Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in Nigeria's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga. Coming up. It's now a waiting game for the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Muftwang, as the Supreme Court reserved judgment in his petition to overturn the verdict that sacked him at the appeal court. Former spokesperson of the Obidati campaign organization, Dr. Okupe, dumps the Labour Party over ideological differences. The Martins Amewule group of the 26 members of the River State House of Assembly hold first plenary of the year. We begin the tracking of the polity from the court, where the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the appeal filed by the Governor of Plateau State, Mr. Caleb Muftwang, seeking to overturn the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which nullified his election. A 5-member panel of justices of the court, led by Justice John Okoro, reserved judgment after hearing argument from parties for and against the appeal. The governor, through his counsel, Mr. Kanu Agabi, is asking the court to uphold the judgment of the tribunal and set aside the judgment of the Court of Appeal because the respondents have no rights, according to them, to question how a party elects its state executives. It says the respondents, that's Mr. Nentawe Goshwe, and the APC cannot plead that the governor did not score the number of lawful votes ascribed to him, at the same time say the election was invalid. The APC and its candidates on their part argued that the PDP is in disobedience of a valid court order that directed them to conduct Congress in 17 local government areas, but only did so in 5. Now, more federal appointees are being eased out as the president has, with immediate effect, dismissed the executive vice chairman and CEO of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection, Mr. Babatunde Irukare. The also dismissed is the Director General and CEO of the Bureau for Public Enterprises, Mr. Alexander Oko. In a statement by the presidential spokesperson, Mr. Ajirin Galale, the sack is in conformity with the federal government's plans to restructure and reposition agencies in protecting citizens' rights and providing a strong basis for enhanced contributions to the nation's economy by key growth-enabling institutions. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party in Benue State has held a rancor-free primary election for February by-election in Guma 1 state constituency, with Mr. Jimin Jeffrey emerging winner after securing 15 out of the 18 delegate votes. The PDP Delegate Election Committee, headed by Captain Joe Agada, began the process in Daudo, Guma local government by explaining the process and display of all election materials as well as delegate accreditation. The second aspirant, Mr. Vincent Atula, who got 3 votes, commends the transparency in the exercise and pledged to support his party to win the election on February the 3rd.
We are the only strong, viable party in the country that does not impose candidates on the electorate. The exercise has been very smooth and thorough, and by virtue of the provisions of the PDP Constitution and the powers on me as the chairman of the Electoral Committee for this Guma State Constituency election, we have declared Jimmy Geoffrey as the winner, having scored the highest number of votes at this election.
I want to first of all appreciate my dear brother, my co-contestant in the primaries. He has demonstrated that he is a brother. He has hugged and congratulated me. We are not in a war front. We are in a contest, and we still remain brothers. And then I appreciate my kinsmen, the good people of Guma 1 State Constituency, for the honor they have done me again for the second time, for giving me the ticket or the flag to contest in the by-election.
Let's come back here to the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos, where the Labour Party in the state has elected Adiola Adebanjo as its candidate for the Surulere 1 federal constituency by-election scheduled for February the 3rd. Adebanjo emerged a winner from a keenly contested primary involving 3 aspirants. The primary was witnessed by officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), the National Organizing Secretary, and the state officials of the Labour Party. INEC had fixed February the 3rd, 2024 for the conduct of rerun and by-elections in 9 states, including Surulere Federal Constituency here in Lagos. The Surulere seat became vacant due to the resignation of the former occupant, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, who, after winning, was appointed by President Bola Tinubu as his chief of staff.
This election was a free and fair. It went perfectly well. It was an open ballot election, and in which all the delegates were happy to vote for the person that they want him or her to represent them at the national level. And thank God today, you have seen at the end of the day, I came out victorious. I'm 100% ready for this election. We have our own team as well. We are well prepared. I was the one that was on the ballot paper as well. Last year, February 2023, I was the one that contested with the former speaker as well. So coming on board this time around is not a new thing. I think everywhere in Surulere I'm well known, and I think we are going to work as a team to ensure we are victorious in this forthcoming election. And I want them to have the confidence in me that their votes, giving vote to me is very important as well, and I believe I will not disappoint the people of Surulere Constituency 1 as a whole. Surulere is already a developed area, so even getting to the National Assembly, we need to go for the laws that will affect the lives of the youth, how jobs can be created for our youth, how we can help the people from the age bracket from 40 above for their health sector life, how we can improve on all the public schools within Surulere as a whole.
We're not done with the by-election, this time for Ebonyi South senatorial seat. Mr. Salas Onu has emerged as the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. The Abuja-based lawyer polled 143 votes out of the 144 total vote cast at the party primaries, which took place at the party secretariat in Afikpo local government area of Ebonyi State. The chairman of the electoral panel, Lekon Rotimi, declared Onu winner, having secured the highest number of vote cast against his rival, Senator Michael Nachi, who represented Ebonyi South Senatorial District at the National Assembly from 2019 to 2023.
For the records, so we have a total of 144 accredited voters. And while the voting was going on and concluded, we have total valid votes, 143. Invalid vote, 1. So Barrister Silas Onu scored a total of 143 votes. Once again, Barrister Silas Onu scored a total of 143 votes. And therefore, having scored the highest number of votes in these primaries, Barrister Silas Onu is hereby returned elected.
Well, with that story from Ebonyi, it clearly shows that they are gearing up for the by-election in February. But it's not only the PDP that has a candidate. The APC and the Labour Party also have a candidate. Professor Anthony Ani, a distinguished figure in agricultural extension at the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, also emerged as a candidate of the APC for that election. We also have from the Labour Party, Mr. Linus Okore, who will be squaring up with all of these candidates as well. But we'll switch gears now as I bring in our guest to talk about this particular issue as far as the Ebonyi South Senatorial District election is concerned. But just to refresh, that seat was formerly occupied by the now Minister of Works, former Governor Dave Umahi. Since he vacated his seat after accepting to serve in President Tinubu's government, that seat became vacant, which is why these primary elections are taking place so that candidates will be nominated from their parties to represent and contest in that particular exercise. I'm being joined in the program by the Senate Deputy Chief Whip, Senator Peter Nwebonyi to have this conversation. Senator Peter Nwebonyi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
So let's walk through this because we've seen that candidates are emerging from the APC to the PDP to other parties, I guess. So let's begin with how your party came to the consensus. So bring Professor Anthony Ani as your candidate for the February election.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. I want to commend the channel television for this wonderful opportunity to hear my view on some of the issues. First is to say that Ebonyi State is APC. We had the three before now. This by-election is coming up as a result of the resignation of my master, who is now the Minister of Work, His Excellency Senator David Weze Umahe. And I must tell you, just like you pointed out earlier, we have observed the due process of electing our candidates in line with the provision of the law, precisely the INEC guidelines, and of course the constitution of our party, the APC. And we came up with Professor to be our candidate, to fly the flag of our party, the APC, as far as the Point South, the Victoria State is concerned. And I must tell you, that is a victory assured, because our party has gotten it right by choosing a very credible candidate with the requisite experience to give the people of the Point South, the effective representation people desire, like that I've had before now. Thank you.
So let me find out, because I don't know whether the professor is a politician or an experienced politician, but from the list, I know he emerged, but maybe first I want to ask, what happened with the former governor's younger brother that he had to step down? What was the reason behind all of that?
Well, let me start by saying that everybody is a political animal. A professor that have served the nation in the university for decades. I believe I've gathered enough experience to do well in the Senate. As to my boss, younger brother, that's an internal matter. We have done our Congress and our candidates have emerged. So whatever happened before then or now is immaterial. But we've produced our candidates in line with the provisions of the law, the guideline of INEC, and our party constitution. So whoever that were interested before now, that issue has been bypassed, and we're now facing the present. I have our candidate. Thank you.
Now, as I was saying, I know that by the score we have, that the professor had about 281 votes as against 285 that were cast. Now, if you look at the listing and the comparison in terms of political experience, because I know politicians like you would say Ebonyi is APC, but when you look at Silas Onu, who emerged as a candidate of the PDP, he's been in this for quite a while. He's a former chairman of the People's Democratic Party. If you look at Linus Okorie, he was a former member of the House of Representatives. In terms of experience, how would the professor be able to match up at the polls? Because this gentleman, they have pedigree.
Don't worry, I must tell you for free, like I said earlier, Ebonyi State is completely an APC state. And I must tell you, there is no force among the few mentioned, both from PDP and the Labour Party, that can effectively match our candidate in that Ebonyi South district. Remember, in Ebonyi South, that is why we have the state chairman of our party, by name Stanley Leah. In the same Ebonyi South, that is why we have the performing Minister of Work, Engineer David Weze Umahe, who is also throwing his weight in support of that candidate. So with these relevant stakeholders in that zone, we believe, and in view of what the former governor did as the governor of Ebonyi State, and what he's currently doing now as the Minister of Work. He has made the APC to be the only party that is in existence in Ebonyi State, coupled with the extraordinary performance of the governor of Ebonyi State, Right Honorable Francis Ogboniyan. Everybody is singing APC. Let me also recall that recently, almost all the big wigs in PDP have formally joined APC, and some are still on the way, like the former ATF, Senator Ayum Power Ayum, is on his way to APC. The former Deputy Speaker of the Constitutional Assembly, Right Honorable Basodefa, have joined APC. All these big wigs are coming from, PDP to join the APC. Who is remaining?
Senator Nweboyi, if I may, Senator Nweboyi, before I cross to other questions. So basically you're telling us and telling me that the success of Professor Anthony Ani as against the gentlemen he will be squaring up against, including Silas Ono of the PDP and Linus Okore of the Labour Party, is purely based not necessarily on his credentials, but the powers that are backing him. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, no candidate can sponsor himself. That is why we have a party. Party is a combination of people with same ideology to achieve a particular political mission. So, with the type of people we have in our party in that area, they are able to deliver that our candidate. Because no candidate can deliver himself. That is the point I'm trying to make. Coupled with the credentials and the credibility, of this candidate, we believe strongly that that election is a walkover.
Let's now move to maybe other issues, but still staying around the professor. So what exactly, because in putting the professor up for this exercise, which he has agreed to apparently, I hope that we're going to have him someday to have this conversation. So this question should naturally be to him. But since you're speaking on behalf of the party, what exactly will the professor be doing differently to make sure that Ebonyi South, for instance, is properly repositioned and attracts as much things as possible to that region or to that senatorial district if he emerges winner of that exercise?
Thank you. Like I told you earlier, a political party is a combination of people of same political ideology to achieve a political mission. And in this case, our party, the APC, in line with our manifesto, have outlined projects and policies, that will be executed in favor of the people of Ebonyi South Senatorial District. And I believe that this professor coming on board has the capacity, has the knowledge, he has the understanding as to what their people want. And I must tell you with every assurance that this man will represent most effectively the good people of Ebonyi South Senatorial District. And that is why they went for him. Thank you.
All right, a quick one. Now, let's go to other issues besides the nomination of the professors. The Southeast, for instance, bedeviled by, the issue of insecurity. And as a member of the party and a ranking member of the National Assembly, what exactly is the members representing that region doing differently to ensure that in the year 2024, for instance, Ebonyi State is not ticked as one of those states that are troubled by insecurity, given what we've seen with IPOB and ESN and all of that, because this is what the people voted you for at the end of the day.
Let me thank you again for this all-important topic, which of course is still of national interest. Well, it goes without saying that in the recent times, Southeast, have been under serious attack, by these separatists and other forms of agitators. Probably when you ask them, they will say it is based on the way the Southeast has been sidelined in national politics. And I must tell you that as our president, the Southeast, is going backwards economically. Remember, every Monday and any other day, as may be pronounced by these agitators, are always grounded economically. No movement, no commercial activities. And these have lasted for years. And that calls for, an attention from the federal government. And that leads also an agitation that the Southeast Development Commission, be created, to mitigate, the harshness that has been created on the people of Southeast as a result of this, what I can call political problems. So we are saying that the Southeast Development Commission, should come on board, to address most of these challenges. Because in the course of the separatists, clashing with the law enforcement agencies, there are always collateral damages like loss of life, burning of houses, and what have you. So it calls for a body that is saddled with the responsibility of rehabilitating, reconstructing, and most importantly, sensitizing the people of the Southeast, particularly the youth of Southeast.
Senator, if I may, just if you can land in 30 seconds, because we're totally out of time. 30 seconds, Senator. Just land on your thought in 30 seconds.
So I am calling for the creation, of the Southeast Development Commission to address all these problems. And most importantly, it is good to work on the side of the youth of Southeast, because many of them are frustrated and they are bent on their agitation without looking back. Let me use this very important opportunity to tell them that for us to be involved in the affairs of this nation, it's not by agitation. It's by showing the proper political line.
Senator, we're totally out of time. Senator, we're totally out of time. Senator, I wish we can take on that issue because I have 1,001 questions. I'm looking at the bill, an act to establish the Southeast Development Commission charged with the responsibility, amongst other things, to receive and manage funds from the allocation of the Federation account for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of roads, houses, and all of that. So I'm looking at the bill in front of me. I have 1,001 questions, if you will, but we don't have that luxury of time. But maybe some other time when we bring you and members to the program, we'll be able to explore that bill and look at the pros and cons of that bill, because you're sounding like this is a silver bullet. Is it really a silver bullet? But I must thank you, Senator Peter Nwebonyi, the Senate Deputy Whip. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, my good friend. Happy New Year to all Nigerians.
Wish you the same. Let's move on now to River State, where the Martins Army with a group of 26 lawmakers in the River State House of Assembly are meeting at their sitting venue in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, for the first plenary of the year. 26 of the members are in attendance, including Ms. Amewole himself, on the 19th Legislative Day. The motion for adoption of votes and proceedings for the 89th Legislative Day was moved by the leader, Mr. Major Jack. Items on the agenda for the sitting today, I understand, includes the River State Traditional Rulers Amendment Bill, the River State Advertisement and Use of Government Property Prohibition Bill, a report of the audited accounts of the River State government, as well as the House voted to give the Public Accounts Committee an extra 3 weeks to submit an updated report of the River State audited accounts of 2022, and the MDAs are to be invited to present their accounts. An official letter is also to be sent to the governor to inform him of their decision to go on recess in order to align with his calendar. This is, as reported, to give him an opportunity to send the medium-term expenditure framework to the House for perusal. The House voted to write officially to the governor, with 25 members voting in favor. They've adjourned sitting to Friday, January the 12th at 10 a.m. There's a lot more happening in the world of politics besides River State. The former Director General of the Peter Obi, or the Obidati Presidential Campaign Organization, Dr. Donyo Okupe, has resigned from the Labour Party. Dr. Okupe, in his letter to the party, cites what he considers ideological differences that emerged after the 2023 elections as reason for his resignation. According to Dr. Okupe, in his words, "I have been a rightist and a liberal Democrat all my entire life. It is therefore this ideological conflict that makes me seek an exit so that I may continue my political activities with liberalism, sincerity, and freedom." While wishing the party success in its future endeavors, the former presidential spokesperson appreciates leadership for the cordiality and respect accorded him as a former Director General of the Obidati Campaign Organization. And now to more stories now, where the All Progressives Congress has released a timetable of activities ahead of the September the 21st governorship election in Edo State, as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission. According to that timetable, updates of the membership register is slated for Wednesday, January the 10th, and that will close on the 3rd of February, or February the 3rd, 2024. So that's it you're seeing on your screen, activities of the APC ahead of that election. The sale of nomination, expression of interest forms, as well as delegate forms, is slated for the 10th to the 29th of January, amongst other activities. Now, 10 million naira is the fee to be paid for the expression of interest for the primary election, while 40 million naira will be paid for nomination form. Women, persons living with disability, and youth who are willing to contest the election will enjoy concession or some form of discount. In the meantime, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State says his administration has recorded great success in managing security in the state, and is certain that at the end of the month, that's this January, all schools in the state will begin to run full shifts. The governor, while speaking with State House correspondents after meeting with President Bola Tinubu, also explains why some schools in the state do not open on Mondays.
It is not as if we have not managed insecurity very well. But in those communities that were the epicenter of insecurity during the period under review, the fear is still resonating in the heads of the parents and students of those schools. But we have embarked on an awareness campaign to the extent that I'm almost certain by the end of this month, every school will be running full shift. If you look at the provisions in that act, and the number of infrastructure and capital projects proposed by the president, if we're able to perform even 50% budget performance on that document, it will not be the same Nigeria. So by this January this year, which we are already, to 31st December, which is the lifespan of that act, I'm sure the initial pains occasioned by some of these reform policies, like the subsidy removal on petroleum products, the exchange rate escalation, will be cured.
Well, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've just been served.